Well, now let's dive deep into this big breaking news LGBT story for today. I'm Al Ferguson, and let's queer up the USA view. Friday, Pittsburgh gay bar's drag show has a police raid, and it stirs the memory of Stonewall in 1969. A heavy-handed police raid at a Pittsburgh gay bar Friday night is stirring powerful echoes of Stonewall for many in the LGBTQ community. According to local LGBTQ outlet Berg, and congratulations to you on this story, P-Town Bar, a well-known queer establishment, was raided by approximately 20 Pennsylvania State police officers in full tactical uniform and additional undercover agents during a drag performance. Now, the drag show starred the famous queen and trans activist Amanda Lepore. Around 11:30 p.m., roughly 70 patrons, bar staff, and the drag queens were forced out onto the street while police conducted an unspecified inspection inside. Officers offered no explanation at the time on why the raid occurred. Since the raid, there has been an active social media response. Some Facebook users noted that 3 other non-LGBT bars in the city were also raided that night. But the aggressive police presence at a queer space, particularly during a drag show starring a trans performer, feels deeply familiar to many who remember or who have studied the 1969 raid on the Stonewall Inn, an event that sparked the modern queer rights movement. Social media comments made the connection to the Stonewall's trans activist Marsha P. Johnson and today's activist Amanda Lepore. Others alleged it may have had more to do with the current administration's aggressive enforcement on immigration. The story became even more complicated with no comment from the city or the bar as to the specifics over the raid throughout the weekend. P-Town Bar posted a message on social media over the weekend to reassure the community that the bar was open for business and remains, quote, steadfast in our promise to provide a safe and welcoming space to our LGBTQ plus community, end quote. The city issued a press release this morning acknowledging the growing attention the story was getting, but did not provide more details of the raid without being specific. Queer News Tonight reached out for further clarification, and P-Town provided us the following statement early this afternoon saying, quote, we apologize for the delay in addressing the events of this past Friday. It's been an overwhelming few days. During our Another Party event featuring Amanda Lepore, P-Town underwent a surprise inspection by Joint Task Force that included officers from LCP, State Police, Fire Department, and the Health Department. Per my understanding, these inspections, typically led by the LCP, are part of an effort to ensure establishments remain in compliance with PLCB regulations. While we're still unsure why P-Town was chosen that evening, we're choosing to view this as an opportunity for growth and improvement. When the officers arrived, we were asked to pause the event and have guests step outside while the inspection was carried out. The officers acted professionally. To my knowledge, no patrons were mistreated. Second, the inspection brought to light a few areas where we need to make improvements. We are committed to working diligently to comply with all city, county, and state regulations. Third, we want to thank our incredible staff and performers for their calm professionalism and grace under pressure. Special thanks to our talented drag performers who kept the spirit alive in spite of the disruption. We are also deeply grateful for the overwhelming support for their community. Your kind messages, offers of help and solidarity have meant so much. Pittsburgh, we love you. Thank you for standing by us. We look forward to welcoming you back to P-Town, end quote. Reddit today is filled with conversation that illuminates the fear the LGBTQ community is feeling in this unique time in our history. Many comments related to snatch and grabs that have been seen in many videos across the country, and law enforcement that will not identify themselves by either name or purpose of action. It is unclear at this hour what the specifics of the raid were really all about, but it is clear it created great anxiety among the LGBTQ community in Pittsburgh and ripples across the nation. This is an incredibly interesting story. I posted early this morning in a lot of my social media feeds, and I got some pushbacks of going, one person said this is all fake news and talked about what the city was doing, and their press release explained everything. And my point to everyone was, wait, it can't be fake news because we don't know any of the details yet. Right. And so our story, our breaking news story, is we're still pursuing it because we don't have that information. Another thing that I think is very interesting is the reaction of the community, of the anxiety of so much police presence going into the bar. Amanda Lepore is on the stage. Stop and get out of the bar and into the street. It creates a chill that I think we all understand. We're watching people that are masked claiming that they're security, they're police, they're whatever division of police, law enforcement it would be, state, local, federal, whatever it might be, and it's creating a chill for the community. And that, I think, is the most interesting thing that's happened over the weekend. We're all kind of sitting on edge. One last thing that I think is really interesting is Pittsburgh ain't no Wilton Manors or Fort Lauderdale. Because if this would have happened in Fort Lauderdale or Wilton Manors Friday night, you would have all known about it at 11:41 p.m. Exactly. Because there would have been an explosion of 20 tactical officers going into a bar on Wilton Drive. So it's not a question of was there a technical issue or whatever the various issues would be. It's that there was no explanation of what was going on, and who are you to be able to do it. That's what is. And
I remember the Queers Folk, the American Queers Folk, was set in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And I was wondering, I'm trying to remember, was there ever an episode? There might have been an episode where there was a bar raid there. Yeah. But one of the things I was thinking about is that so many police departments have been recruiting LGBTQ people to be on the force. So I'm wondering if there were any LGBTQ cops on this during this raid, and how they handled themselves during a raid like this.
So for me, while you were covering the story, I was watching on the monitor, and if I can just speak to the situation and put some light to it, I saw you can't stop nothing. I saw resilience, because even when they were ushered outside, Amanda Lepore kept the energy going, and they were all instilling good peace, and it shows resilience. And I said that's like the best weapon that we have right now, is just complete and utter resilience. You put me out, you put me in a box, I guarantee you I'm gonna have a party in a box.
Sure.
So, for me, I think that weakens the enemy, because it's like, no matter what, okay, we put them in a box, we put them in a shoe box, we even put them in a ring box, and they still found we call Al, and he still put us a DJ system in the ring box, and we still had the best ride ever. So I think that's our best weapon right now, is just unapologetic resilience.
100%.
And they displayed that outside.
Years ago, I was actually in a raid in a bar in South Miami, and if you've ever been in a raid before, it's a really scary, intimidating situation. At that time, South Miami police, they were looking at people's IDs. You had to show them IDs. They were looking for drugs. A lot of drag queens were performing at that club at that time. I've been to Pittsburgh many times. My baby Joey Young is from Pittsburgh. I was there in January at P-Town. And I have to say, the drag community and the trans community is very tight-knit in Pittsburgh. So I'm not surprised that they didn't just show resilience and, just kept their calm, because that's what they do in Pittsburgh. So kudos to them for keeping it together. It is a small bar with a lot of people in there. So they were talking about some compliance issues that they were working with, but definitely with that many police officers in a small bar, You have to wonder.
You know, to that point, I fully acknowledge that there may be compliance issues that they're enforcing across the city of Pittsburgh, and it seems to me that is reasonable. We want safety, et cetera, and so on. But it's how you do it,
Yeah.
and I really think that is at play. And I pretty much guarantee that of multiple bars that were affected like this on Friday night, while I appreciate the notes, of which we cannot prove that it is true, but there are many comments saying that there were other bars, maybe as many as 3, that faced the same thing, that were traditional market bars. I can almost guarantee, at least from my seat, it's an assumption, I'm making an assumption, that there are people in that bar that are perhaps immigrant, illegal, definitely trans, people of color, all of which are going to be triggered by the way you do it.
Right.
Right, even closeted people. There's
Yeah.
somebody who's not out
Yeah.
being in a situation like that.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that's what I think is at play here. The story is really the fear that we're all feeling,
Yeah.
and this just feeds that fear. And that's why it's so important. The press release that the city has done, okay, well, we appreciate finally some words 3 days later of explaining what was going on, but the press release doesn't provide the kind of detail to really explain. Perhaps there's reasons why, I don't know that, but it doesn't provide the detail of why did this happen. Even in the statement that P-Town provides, not identified by name, by the way, but the entire bar says we still don't know why they came here. That's what has to be resolved. And I just, any voice that is hearing Wilton Manors, I can't really imagine this happening in Wilton Manors or Fort Lauderdale, but
You will be reporting live.
we'd be right there going, wait, tell us what you think.
We'll be reporting live.
Yeah, exactly. But we'll stay on top of this in this story and see where it goes. Well, that is a big LGBT story for today. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBT stories by subscribing and sharing Queer News Tonight.